So I've now logged into the admin console, and the first thing I'm going to do is hover over system data at the top left and click on learners. You can see I'm now on the learners page, and in this practice school, this school hasn't actually set up or used the online parent accounts before, so I haven't already added in the parent's first name, last name or email addresses. And therefore, I want to be able to do that now. So the quickest way to do that, because you may have a large number of learners in your school, is to use an export and import function to be able to export the current learner's details into a spreadsheet, a CSV file. You'll be able to update that spreadsheet and import it back in to be able to populate all the learners' family details. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on Export towards the top right. I don't want to actually include any of my archived learners, so I'm going to leave this unticked. And I'm just going to click Export at the bottom right of the pop-up window. On my computer, because it's downloaded, I can see at the bottom left of the pop of the screen, and I can just click on it to open it. So the spreadsheet is now opened on my computer, and so I can edit it. I click Enable Editing at the top. And then it's going to expand some of these columns just so we can see it in more detail, just by clicking in between the column names. And the ones we're mainly going to be focusing on are the parent details, so I'm just going to expand them. If your spreadsheet looks slightly different because you use cohort information, your columns may be in different rows, the headings, but the headings should be exactly the same. And this is the spreadsheet that you'll update. You can take information from Sims or Arbor or whichever MIS system you're using, paste it into this Excel spreadsheet, and then import it in to update evidence for learning. Cloud ID, which is in column A, will automatically have already been filled in for all your existing learners. So you're just going to leave that as it is. And it's really important that the cloud ID and the learner's first name and last name and the rest of the information stays intact or in line. So to ensure that takes place, I'm going to click on the 1 at the top left so that the top row becomes highlighted. And then I'm going to click Sort and Filter towards the top right, and then click on Filter. If I now want to sort by last name, for example, I can then click on the relevant column, sort A to Z, and it means that the cloud ID and the learner's information will all stay in line even though it's now been sorted. I can now paste in the information for the parents in terms of the parent first name, parent 1 last name, parent 1 email address, and if applicable, parent 2 first name, parent 2 last name, and parent 2 email address. So you can now see that I've pasted in the relevant information into each field. For some learners, I've just got one parent's details available to myself, so I've entered just those in. Where I've got 2 parent details and where I want to set them up with 2 separate family accounts, I've entered in both parent 1 details into them, so parent 1 first name, parent 1 last name, and parent 1 email address. And as you can see for Thomas Jones, the learner, make it clear there, you can also see I've entered a second parent in terms of Simon Jones and his email address into the relevant columns. I also want to be able to test out the new Evidence for Learning Family app with a test learner. And I haven't got a test learner in my cloud. So I'm actually going to create a new learner at this point. So I go to the first blank row in my spreadsheet at the very bottom, and then I'm going to enter in the first name. I'm just going to call my learner test learner 1. So therefore, in the first name, I've just entered test. In the last name, I've entered learner 1. I'm not going to enter date of birth because it's just a test learner. And I've also made sure that I've left the cloud ID, which is in column A, blank for the new learner. Because when we import this back in to the admin console, Evidence for Learning will assign the new learner, test learner 1, with a unique cloud ID. I am at the same time, though, going to enter in my first name in terms of the parent's first name and my surname. I'm also going to enter in my work email address so I can get sent the login details to be able to access the new family app. So I've now completed filling in this spreadsheet. So what I can do is click File at the top left and save this with a name and a location that I'll be able to locate on my computer. So I've now saved this Excel spreadsheet on my computer, and now I'm going to close it down by pressing the cross at the top right. So I've now logged back into the admin console and now want to import the spreadsheet back in. So I'm going to click on the system data at the top left and then click on learners. I'm now going to then click on import towards the top right and then click choose file to locate the spreadsheet. I've then located the spreadsheet on my computer and I just click on the name of it and then click open at the bottom right. I can then see that the file's been selected and I just click upload at the bottom right of the pop-up window. I then won't need to make any changes to this mapping column headings screen because I haven't added any new columns to the spreadsheet, but all the information above the box should match what's inside the box. So I'm just going to scroll down. We're not adding any learners to the groups or updating group sets. So then what I can do is to scroll to the bottom of the screen and then I'm using the unique identifier, the cloud ID as a unique identifier. If a match is found, it's going to update the existing learner records. If no match is found, it's going to add the learner record. So it's going to add that one test learner one for me because there's no cloud ID. Then what I'm going to do is click next at the bottom right of the pop-up window. And then I can just click process. So we can now see I've added in the parent's first name, last name and email addresses, and where appropriate, the second one for the learners in my cloud. I'm now logged into the web console, and because I'm an administrator to the web console, when I hover over admin at the top right, I have the user manager option. So I'm going to click on user manager at the top right. So the school users is all your assessment users and assessment managers that can access the school app. We now also have a new tab called family users. So I'm going to click on family users and use. This is where we're going to set up our new family users for the first time. So the first thing I'm going to do is click create user towards the top right. I can then get the option to either create a brand new user or to create a new user using existing P1 and P2 data in the learner records. The P1 and P2 data is the parent 1 and parent 2 information in terms of the first name, last name and email address that we've just added using the admin console. So I'm going to click on use existing P1 and P2 data and then click create at the bottom right of the pop-up window. I'm then on a screen where I can see all the learners' details that have parent 1 and parent 2 information that we've added through the admin console. And the first one I want to create is my account for Blake Perry as a family user for the test learner 1. So I'm going to click create on the right hand side. We've now then created our first family user. If I wanted to, in the future, I can come back and repeat the process by clicking on further ones to create. Or when I'm ready, I could select all the family users and click create straight away. But first of all, I just want to be able to create one to test it before I then start to bring across some of the real learners and their family accounts. So I'm going to now press the cross at the top right of the window. And that will then take me back to the screen where I can see I've got my first family user that started to be set up. The next thing then to look at is what access do I want to be able to give this family member and all the family members. So we've broken down the permissions into 3 main areas. The first area is view permissions, and that's what a family user can see on a piece of evidence that's shared with them. We then also have a second category in terms of capture permissions, and that's what's allowing family members to do in terms of capturing and uploading evidence. And then we have a miscellaneous section towards the right. There are further columns that are hidden in terms of within advanced permissions that I can bring across. And I can also hide certain columns that I don't want to give family members access to or permission to. So let's first of all look at view permissions. So this is what a family member can view on a shared piece of evidence with them. And remember that every single piece of evidence that you do want to share is manually shared with them, so nothing is shared automatically. If you choose to share a piece of evidence with a family member, this then decides what they can see on that evidence. So the first one is in terms of view evidence, is allowing family members, if you share a piece of evidence with them, to be able to see the photos and videos. So in my school, I'm going to click on that once, and that's going to allow all family members to be able to do that. In terms of view comments, I want all the comments to be also visible. So I'm going to click on that column to make it green. In terms of view tags selected, I actually don't want any on the evidence that I share with family members. I don't want them to see the tag. So what I'm going to do is actually click on that to make it go red. So you can toggle through because, so I'm just going to click on that so it goes red for the time being. And then in terms of view conversation, for parents to be able to add their own conversation when they're capturing evidence, they need to be able to see it. So I am going to allow family members to see the conversation because I want them to be able to start a conversation when they're uploading evidence. So what I've so far decided is that family members will be able to see the photos and videos, and that's the view evidence option. They'll be able to see the comment that's been added by a member of staff. They won't be able to see selected tags, and they will be able to see the conversation that they enter, and therefore they will be able to also write. Before we look at capture permissions and miscellaneous, I just want to show you how the function works in terms of advanced permissions. So I can click on advanced permissions towards the top right, and you can see within other view permissions, there's other columns of permissions that are currently hidden. And if you wanted to be able to bring that across so that you'd have the choice to be able to allow some or all your family members to be able to have that permission, you would tick the box to the left-hand side. So if, for example, I do want to bring across the column to allow family members on a shared piece of evidence to see the framework links to PLGs, I could then tick the box to the left-hand side as I have done, and then click apply at the bottom right. And you'll see that then brings across the column. Again, I can tap on it once so that everyone can do it, tap on it so it becomes red, or put it back to grey, and it would be individual family users would be able to have different access. A tick would indicate that they have got permission, a blank would indicate that they haven't. If you want to hide a column, you can only hide a column if no one's got that permission. So where it says view frameworks PLGs, I'm going to click advanced permission towards the top right. And I'm actually going to just hide that column because I don't want anyone to be able to see that in my practice school at this occasion. I can always give that permission at a later date if I want to. So I've unticked that box and I'm going to click apply again. If we now go back to advanced permissions on the right-hand side, some of the other columns I'll just explain. So I'm not going to bring those through because you've seen the process now. But view framework links is to do with PLGs. So they would be able to only see the framework links to the PLGs. If you'd like to, this next option is view frameworks that aren't a PLG. So that might be any framework that's not a PLG. It could be an accreditation framework or curriculum framework. Or you can bring across the column that would allow you to select specific frameworks for family members to be able to access in terms of being able to see on a shared piece of evidence. View tags, you have the option to bring across the column to allow family users on a shared piece of evidence to see all tags, or view tags excluding internal use, or the selected tags. As well as that, if you are gathering information around engagement and you want to be able to share that with families, then you could also bring across the column that would allow view indicators selected. You'd be able to then select the indicator set. If that's the engagement model, you'd be able to select that indicator to be able to share on a shared piece of evidence. So that's the permissions around view evidence, and that's all around on a shared piece of evidence. And remember, just ticking the box here, press and apply, brings across the column, and then you can use the function to either turn it green, so everyone has access, red for no one, or grey for individual family members. I'm just going to click cancel to go back for the time being. So the next one again, in terms of capturing permission, I want all my family users to be able to capture evidence and photos and videos. I don't want to give them permission to be able to use tags at this point or any tags, but I do want them to be able to start a conversation and add a family comment to a piece of evidence that they're uploading. So we're just talking about that in terms of they're able to start a conversation. If I go back to advanced permissions again towards the top right, There are other options that if you wanted to, you could bring across and then give some or all your family users access to be able to do it. So this is now about them capturing evidence. So do you want them to be able to link to specific link to PLGs for the learners that they've got access to? Do you want them to be able to link evidence to non-PLG frameworks or selected frameworks? Do you want to bring across the column for permission to allow family users, when they're uploading evidence, to be able to use all tags? This column here is about using tags excluding internal use tags, or it can be selected tags. And again, if you wanted to, you could bring across the column to allow family users to be able to use indicators and selected indicators, and that may be around engagement. So I'm just going to click cancel for the time being. The next thing that we're going to do is look at more around miscellaneous permissions and any other type of permissions that are in the system. So I'm just going to go back to advanced permissions for now. In terms of assessment permissions, just here, these aren't live yet, and they'll be going live during the spring term that we're expecting them to. So I'm going to leave all these columns hidden for the time being. In terms of the miscellaneous permissions, we have the option to bring across that they can view PDF documents, as well as view activities. So what I'm going to do at the moment, in terms of create PDFs, upload PDFs, those aren't live at all. Activities isn't also currently live on the family app, so I'm going to just unbring that column across. And also in terms of view feedback and write feedback, those all may be added in the future, but therefore I'm going to hide all those columns. And the only column that I'm going to have visible is view PDF documents. And I'm going to click apply. If you don't want your family users to be able to view PDF documents on any things that you share, then you just would not bring that column across, but I'm going to for my practice school. And I'm just going to click apply. So you can see now in terms of miscellaneous, I've only got one column that I'm currently available to use. I can always go back to advanced permissions to bring others through at a later date. And again, if I want all family members to be able to view any PDF documents that I choose to share, I click on it once and it would go red, and all family users would be able to do that. So just to recap on this screen of where we are at the moment, in terms of the family user, you can see the family user is Blake Pirrie. You can see my username is going to be my email address. The login details will be sent to the email address. And you can see Blake Pirrie is a family user who has access to one particular learner at Sunny Hill School, and that learner is called Test Learner 1. We can see the permissions that I'm going to have as a family user. And then the final thing is on the right-hand side, similar to when you're setting up school users, we set up Blake as a family member or a family user, but we haven't at the moment sent any passwords. So what I'm now going to do is click the box on the left-hand side to select Blake, and then I'm going to click reset password towards the top. This then will reset the selected user's password. I appreciate that this user has never had a password before, so that's the reason why they were going to set them up for the first time and send them an email that contains their password. So I'm now just going to click reset passwords towards the bottom right of the pop-up window. You'll be taken back to the screen where you can see all the family users. And then just to be able to refresh this screen, then all I'm going to do is click the refresh button at the top left by the search bar. You'll see that just updates and refreshes the screen. And I can see that yellow exclamation mark has now been changed to active. And that means that the family user, Blake Pirrie, has now been sent an email containing their password. So I've now opened up the school app, because before I launch the Evidence for Learning family app, I just want to be able to share a piece of evidence for my test learner. So I'm going to click on capture in the middle. I've already added test learner onto my device by going to the cog at the top left and adding test learner 1 onto my device. So I can now then just press the plus to the right of learners, click on all learners on this device and select test learner 1, and then tap done at the top right. So I'll pick test learner 1. I'm going to just pick a photo from the camera roll for today. And then I'm going to just add a very short comment. I'll just put demo for now, but that's where the comment would go, and just tap done at the top right. I do want to link this piece of evidence to a framework, so I'm going to press the plus to the right of frameworks. add links to a framework, pick development matters, and just pick an outcome here. I just want to show you that even when we do share this piece of evidence, because I've chosen not to allow family members to see the frameworks or the tags, they won't see them. So I am going to add a tag. So let's press the plus to the right of tag. And I'm also going to start a tag just for demonstration and then tap done at the top right. Okay, so we've now got a piece of evidence. I'm going to upload this to the cloud. So as normal, we turn it from orange to green and then press save at the top right. That piece of evidence will then be uploaded to the cloud. And then still staying on the school app, I now want to share that with the family users. So I'm going to tap on the evidence icon. You could filter for the piece of evidence to locate it. It looks like I was searching for the cloud already. We'll just put all to the right of learners. So I'm locating it for test learner 1, press apply, and that's the piece of evidence. So then I can tap on that piece of evidence. So I'm now within this piece of evidence, and this is where I can decide if I want to share it and what information I want to be able to share. So if I tap on it once to be able to, on the family icon towards the top right, it goes from grey to sharing just the photos and videos only. So regardless of what I've set up in the web console in terms of other access, there may be times where I only just want to share on this particular piece of evidence, just the photos and videos. If I tap on it again, it would then share with this particular family, the family users, any of the other elements that I've decided I want to share with my family users, either all family users or the specific family users, around do I want to be able to share any other elements of the evidence. So if you set up that you're deciding to share the photos, videos, and just comments, then this is the option that you would pick, and you just click save. The wording of this may slightly change in future versions of the app, but to recap, if it's on not shared with parents, it's not being shared at all. If it's photos and videos only, after we press save, it will just share the photos and videos. If you tap on it again, it would then share with this family users that are linked to this learner any of the other elements that you've decided to share within the piece of evidence. So if you've, as a school, have decided to share photos, videos, comments, tags, and frameworks, then that's what will be shared. If you, as a school, have only decided to share photos, videos, and just the comments, then that's what will be shared. So I'm now going to press save at the top right. And we can now see that this piece of evidence is shared with the family users that are linked to this learner, and that's indicated by the blue icon. So I've now switched over to share my iPad screen with you because I'm going to download the new Evidence for Learning family app. This could be done on an iPhone. It can also be done on Android devices by going to the relevant app store. So here I'm just going to click on the App Store logo to open up the App Store. I'm then going to click search at the bottom right. Then you're going to search Evidence for Learning family. So to save time, I'm just going to paste it in. But you enter Evidence for Learning family, and then you click search. And this is the new Evidence for Learning family app. You can see that it's the Evidence for Learning family, and it's clearly marked also on the icon. So what I'm going to do is download this onto my device. And then once it's downloaded, I can just click open. So I'm now going to enter in my school's domain. And the school's domain is the same as the one that you use to enter in login to the web console. So EfL family users use the same domain as what school users use to log into the web console. I'm also then going to enter in my username, which is my email address. And then finally, I've copied the password that I was sent in the email, and I'm just going to paste that in. If you are copying the password that you've been sent, do be careful not to copy an extra space at the start or the end of the password. So I've taken care there, and I'm just going to click sign in. So now we've opened up the new Evidence for Learning family app. And we saw before that I'm the family user and I've got one child at school called Test Learner 1. So we saw before how as a school, I shared a piece of evidence. So now if I tap on the evidence icon just here at the bottom underneath capture, or I could use the quick buttons along the bottom, I can see the one piece of evidence that the school has shared with me. I can then tap on that piece of evidence. And even though that piece of evidence had framework links and tags, as a school, I chose not to share that with family members. So a family member who logs into their family app, and I've shared a piece of evidence from the school, they can see the piece of evidence, they can see the photos and videos and the comment from the member staff, but the tags and the framework links are not displayed. You may want to set up differently at your school, but this is how I've done it in the practice school. From a family user's point of view, then, they can use the quick buttons at the bottom, and there are further guides and videos available within the EfL Online Resource Centre, and they'll be added to over the coming weeks and months. But also there is that demonstration webinar, which we did before, I think it must be in October now, to show you how you were able to use the family app and give a demonstration. So it'll probably be useful to have a look at that, and also the guides and videos. But just to give you a bit of a navigation now, if a family member wants to go to capture some evidence, they can tap capture straight away in the middle. And then what they can do, they can tap the plus icon on the right hand side to be able to pick a learner. If the school family user only has one child at your school, they may want to set the default learner to be their test learner 1 or their child, and therefore they won't have to pick them every time. So I'm just going to come back out of here, just tap the home button at the bottom. And therefore, for your family users who've only got one child at your school, what they may want to do is tap on the learner icon just here. They can then set the default learner by tapping on the learner's name. Tick appears on the right hand side, and then I can tap done. If I had 2 children at the school, I obviously wouldn't set a default learner up, but if I've only got 1 child at the school, then that would make sense to be able to do. So I'll set the default learner. I'm going to now go and tap capture in the middle. You'll see that the default learner, in this case test learner 1, has been picked, and therefore I don't have to pick the learner each time. So that's a really useful feature if your family user only has 1 child at your school. It's worth doing. Obviously, if they have a number of children at your school, they wouldn't then set the default learner. The only bit I really want to show you in terms of getting the evidence for learning family app for family users to be able to start to use it is making sure they grant the correct permissions. So the first time after downloading the family app, a family user taps on the plus. They'll then be able to select to either take a live photo or photo from the video library. Whichever one they select, in the end, what they're going to be asked for is to be able to grant permission. So it'll say evidence family would like to access the camera, and it will just say evidence can be captured using your device's camera. And family users need to tap OK. They'll also then get an option if they do want to be able to access photos or videos that are on the camera roll, then again, they need to be able to grant and allow access to all photos, or they can choose selected photos or don't allow. But then obviously they wouldn't be able to access the camera roll from anything stored on the device. So I am going to select allow access to all photos. And now, because the app has got permission, the family users then can select from their camera roll. So I'm just going to select this photo here. And again, the final thing is just to be able to add a comment. There are more guides and videos on how to do it, and more will be added. So if I just put from family, I was going to put from family test, but that would be the family user starting a conversation with the school in relation to this piece of evidence. And it's a bit like when school users are creating a piece of evidence on the web console. So if a family user leaves this as orange and press saves, it will still upload to the cloud, but it would be in draft format. So it wouldn't automatically show up in PDFs or within assessment books. But either way, if they press save, it will be uploaded to the cloud. It will not remain on their device. I am going to, as a family user, turn it to green and press save. As I said, it will always be uploaded to the cloud if it's orange or green. So then I'm going to tap OK just here. And then as a family user, then what they can then do is tap the evidence button at the bottom of the screen, and they can see the piece of evidence that was shared by school before, and they can also see the piece of evidence that they've now uploaded from a family user from themselves. As they've uploaded this piece of evidence, and this specific family user has, they can also be able to edit it. So once they click into it, they'll have an edit icon towards the top right. And if they wanted to, they could select that and then choose to edit certain areas before saving it again. So I'm just going to press the home icon now. So hopefully that's given you a start to be able to set yourself up as a family user of a test learner and be able to start to see how the Evidence for Learning Family app would work in terms of sharing evidence from school and also uploading evidence from home. Other things I just want to show you, and I'll let you play around with the quick buttons at the bottom to see where you can locate the evidence on the evidence button or any PDF documents that were already shared. I'm just going to tap on more at the bottom right for now. And again, this is where family users could then tap on profile settings. Family users then would be able to click on change password, and then they could change their password if they needed to. So they could enter in their current password and then their new password twice to be able to set a new password up. So I've just returned back to the home screen of the family app. And there'll be more guides and videos on how to use the family app being added to the Resource Centre in the coming weeks. Do have a go yourselves, and if you've got any questions at all, you can always contact us. But what I will do for now is go back across now to the web console to then show you how you can start to set up other family users. So I've logged back into the web console. I am just going to hover over admin again, top right, and click on user manager. Again, I'm going to click on the family users tab. And then what I want to be able to do is start to show you the process of then creating more family users. So I'm again going to click create user towards the right hand side. I will use P1 and P2 data already in the learner records and then click create. So I just want to show you what happens when you've got a parent who may be the parent of two children at your school. So here, for example, we've got Ben Williams and Sally Williams, and Mary Williams is the parent of both children. So I'm going to select both of these on the left-hand side and then click create at the top left. You can select a number of learners and click create to be able to create a number of family users at once. I'm just going to do this particular family user for Mary Williams now. So I'm going to click create. And you'll see that we've created another family user. This time it's Mary Williams. This is her username, which is her email address. Mary, once we send her the login information, we sent it to her email address. But different from me, you can see that Mary's going to have access to two children in your cloud, and she's going to have access to Ben Williams and Sally Williams. And any shared evidence for Ben or for Sally, Mary will be able to access within a one Evidence for Learning family app. It's brought across the permissions that we've already set. And again, if I wanted to be able to now send Mary her email or whenever I'm ready to, I could tick the box on the left-hand side and then just click reset password towards the top when I was ready. And then Mary would be sent her login information. So hopefully that would give you enough to be able to start to use and set up some family users at your school. As ever, always feel free to get in touch if you've got any questions at all. You can email us using services@theteachercloud.net. So that's services@theteachercloud.net. And we'll be looking forward to hearing from you. And especially if you've got any feedback or any questions going forward, then please do get back in touch.